And now,
introducing the one, the only.
Let me introduce to you
lively talk with successful people, barely filtered. This is the Jenna Ben Show.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jenna Ben Show, guys. I'm your host, Jenna Benamy, and with us today, we have UFC number 15 Bantamweight with the record of 16-7, 3 UFC Performance of the Night awards, a Fight of the Night award, and he's tied with TJ Dillashaw for most stoppage wins in the Bantamweight division. Welcome, Marlon, Chito, Vera. How you doing, bud?
Oh, good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm glad to have you on. Are you in Irvine right now?
I live in Costa Mesa, pretty close to Irvine.
Okay. I have interviewed a couple people that are in the Orange County area, and I'm wondering if you train with them. I've had Marvin Vittori on. Do you know him?
I know him, but we don't train together.
Okay. And then Jalen Turner.
I know him too. And we practiced a couple of times before, but we're not in the same gym.
Okay.
I know them both.
So here on the Jenna Ben Show, I talk about my guest stories, and I kind of allow the listeners and viewers to get an idea of who you are as a man behind the fighter. So take us way back. Now, you're 28 years old, but I want to know what you were like as a kid growing up in Ecuador. What was your personality like? Like, were you shy? Were you wild?
Yeah, pretty well. I was fighting multiple times a week, getting in trouble non-stop. So I'm guessing that's why I ended being a fighter. I was with everything they told me not to do.
Okay. Okay. And so paint the picture. I did a little research on Ecuador, and did you know that it's actually the closest country to space?
Not at all.
The reason for that is Mount Chimborazo is the highest mountain apparently, and it's actually 1.5 miles higher than Mount Everest. Everyone thinks that Mount Everest is the highest spot closest to space, but your people.
I did knew that about we had something cooler than Everest, so maybe we started there, but I didn't know it was close to space. Well, I'm guessing if it's taller than Everest, it's
yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. See, you're learning something here on the Jenna Ben Show.
Yeah, for sure.
How did you develop an interest in MMA?
Until I remember, I would like to fight just because I just like to be involved in a fight or learn how to fight or just have a street fight. And then I started finding out there was a career of this, in the US, in Russia, in Brazil. So I was like, I'm guessing if I just start training and working hard, maybe one day I can be one of those guys we see in TV. And that's exactly how I started happening. Like I started training when I was 17, and literally like a year after I fought my first pro fight. And then I've been training since non-stop.
That's amazing. It happened really fast for you. Who was the fighter that caught your eye? Every fighter I talked to when they were growing up and they started to see the UFC or like these, Pride or whatever on TV, they're like, I want to be like that guy. Who is that for you?
It's been GSP my whole life. Like when I watch him fight, when I saw how he just beat people up, I like it. We got a complete different maybe personalities. I'm all tired up. He's like basically the opposite, but I just like it as or what we see of him on TV and everything. I don't know him as a person, but what I see from him, how he carry himself and how he fights, I like it. So that was my role model growing up.
So that's your guy. Okay. How does your dad and your mom feel about you fighting? I mean, you ended up taking something that you weren't supposed to do, and then you turned it into a career. So how did they react to it when you said, this is something I'm going to really try and do?
Well, like, I don't think there's no mother and father that actually like that for their son. There's some exceptions out there, but definitely they did not like it. It was something that they didn't maybe understand why. But, I think when you see your kid putting the effort and making everything to achieve what they been dreaming for, I guess that's why they start supporting me after a couple of years, because they were like, what are you doing here? Like, it's just excuses, don't do what you're supposed to do, or are you actually want to do it? And sometimes you gotta prove yourself because
Mhm.
you've been fucking up your whole life. So they actually were wondering what was behind that, and it was just a real dream.
Yeah, I can tell that you have really good work ethic. Is that something you get from your parents? Are they hardworking?
Yeah, at least I saw my dad getting off the house every day, and he will provide anything we need. And the thing I pick up from him is like I never saw him complaining. I never saw him broken down. He never let the problems from the outside. He never brought it to the house, and that was a good showing of, you don't. It's not like you don't want to show weakness, but you cannot be complaining about life in front of kids because then they will think that that's the way to handle the stuff. Just complaining, just whining, you're just bitching out. So
Right.
I guess he did a really good job just by being himself and don't let things put him down, and he always provide, and that is as simple as that. He always provide. How you provide, how you get it done, we don't know, but get it done.
Wow, you don't know?
Well, nobody knows, but you have to go on and earn it. You gotta work every day for things. You don't know what's gonna happen at the end of the line. You just
Right.
you just aiming as high as you can, and you work hard.
Yeah. Now, you have three kids. What do your kids think you do for a living? Do they understand it?
They're close to start understanding, like, for real. They're still very very young, so but they will find out someday, and that's what I work the most, so they can see, like, you can get everything through to discipline, to hard work, and of course, you know you gotta treat people the way you want to be treated. So I just try my best and I go hard in every single aspect of life. I don't
Yeah.
I try to don't left holes on anything.
Hmm. Your first pro fight was when?
When I was 17 years old,
17. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
28
And
now. So.
then, and you got into tough when?
uh well, I married to tough when I was 21, and I met my brother View when I was 17.
That's crazy. That's really, that's really fast, right?
Well, I know, I knew it, and I also knew there was no experience on my side. I didn't have any backgrounds, and no jiu-jitsu world champion or taekwondo world champion. I went from fighting I did like 3 fights in Ecuador. Then I started fighting around South America. By the time they called me, I was either 6-0 or 6-1. So there was no experience on me. It was, yeah, I
Wow.
could fight, but I don't really knew how to fight back then. Like, if I'm honest, I didn't knew how to fight. I had I had a good jiu-jitsu. I could throw some kicks, but I didn't knew how to fight. And most of the guys that I see that they made it to the UFC with my skill set at the time, they wouldn't be caught in 2 or 3 fights. Somehow I managed myself to still here.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
And now you're a BJJ black belt, right?
yes,
So you started your education in the sport. You
in the,
started to take it seriously as soon as you hit tough, basically.
no, I take it seriously since way before my profile. Like, the moment I step on a jiu-jitsu gym,
Hmm.
I told them I'm here to make it someday to the UFC. Like, it wasn't like, it was like casualty. Like, that that was my goal, and I get it done.
You remind me of Marvin Vittori. It seems to me, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you have your eye on the prize being the belt. And you seem to me like someone who doesn't really care about the small wins along the way because it's like it's all or nothing. Is that correct?
It's exactly like that. We all are gonna die, and the day before or the moment before, you're gonna realize if you did something big or not. And it doesn't matter if you don't get it done, but if you don't try hard, is when you will fail.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So then, even though you couldn't fight in the semifinals because you had a skin infection, you still got your UFC contract. So, how did that go down? And did you know you were going to get the contract?
What at first when they told me like you cannot fight your next fight, I knew it's not the same as losing, but you're still losing your position. So I wonder myself like what's gonna happen now. But they told me like right away like hey you're gonna have a shot at the final, so don't even worry about it. Which still sucks because I really expect myself to win that season, but I just it was impossible to me to do. I get sick and it is what it is. So they give me a shot in there and it was great. It was a good. I actually believe I won my debut,
Mm,
but the judges see it different. But I do believe I won that fight.
okay. Now, as someone who wants to enter the UFC so bad, like this is something you knew and you were working very hard towards. To lose your first fight, were you like, oh shit, I can't mess this up because if I lose this, I have nothing? Like, was there a panic moment when you saw that you lost?
It wasn't like a panic moment, but it was very disappointed in myself. It was like the most important thing on my life just went through the drain. And like if you get a stop, if you get caught in a submission, if somebody just is just better than you and kick your ass, you have to deal with that. But I end the fight thinking, okay, I won this fight. It was kind of close first round, second round, then the third round, I heard him and winning, caught him up, and then like you can tell the body language when somebody no lose or win. And I was like, oh,
Mm,
that was weird, but you gotta keep moving forward. You cannot stuck yourself in that and complain forever about it. You just gotta let it go and take what's next.
right. Well, you came back and kicked some butt with your second pro fight, your second UFC fight, rather. Um, I'm curious though, what was more exciting for you, getting accepted on Tough Latin America or getting the UFC contract?
Well, the top was just kind of like a presentation. It was the top is not the UFC. The UFC is everything. So when I get in there, I told myself like this is not it. Like you get your ass kicked here, you're done. You're not even close to make it. So it was just like a job interview for me.
Uh-huh. How many fights was your first UFC contract? Was it 3?
I don't even know.
Okay. I'm
I
curious
think
if you had some sort of like,
it could be only one fight. I don't even remember.
how did they, yeah, I got to start asking more fighters that question, because a lot of fighters, the way they make it into the UFC is not via the show, right? Or contenders. It's sometimes it's just like a last minute, hey, we got to fight for you in a week.
I believe when it's like that, you get like 3 fights.
Okay.
I believe if you just got time from if they call you randomly like, hey, we need a fight for fill out next week, they give you like a 3, 4 fight contract. If I'm not wrong, but I'm not even know what I'm talking about. I'm just guessing.
You know what was interesting? I was talking to Tim Means, and somehow we were just talking about his first UFC fight in 2012 and how, he got 10 and 10 as compensation. And I was like, I had a moment where I was like, wait, they're paying fighters the same amount in 2012 to enter the UFC as they are now.
Basically, well, but that's the thing. A lot of people um, attack the UFC by that, and they talk about how much money boxers make. But if you see the undercard of Manny Pacquiao making millions, those kids are not making shit. So
Mm,
most of the fighters complain just because the media size is a little different. You got a guy that is 2-0 in the UFC, and they talk to him like a star. You got a 2-0 boxer. That kid is nothing. That kid is
right.
doesn't exist in the world. Like it's a bacteria this big. So in the UFC, we have the advantage that you become famous with 2 wins. So they kind
Yes.
of like, oh, now they want to make Conor McGregor money. Nah, buddy, Conor McGregor knocked the fuck out of a bunch of guys, talk a lot of shit, back it up, and that's why he become famous. So I don't think the UFC pays bad because think about it. All these guys that are complaining about money, if the UFC closes tomorrow, they're gonna go maybe to Walmart. They're gonna go maybe to Target to work. Like let's be real. Most of us didn't want to college, and most of us are not that smart. I think I can make it without the UFC because I will find a way. In my head, it's all about finding a way.
Yeah.
But most of the guys, they have what they have, and that's it. So yes, they pay the same what they paid 10 years ago or 8 years ago. But the first fight of any of these boxing cards, how much they're making? They're probably making 1,000.
Wow. You think so?
I can bet the first fight of any of these boxing cards, the very first fight of the night, the undercard, they're not making 20 grand if they win. The very first fight, the kids that have 1-0, 2-0. Is it?
Interesting. Well, I'm going to look it up now. I'll let you know.
Look it up because I highly doubt that some kid that is making his pro debut or is 1-0 in boxing makes 30, 40 grand.
Right. And then I'm not too familiar with boxing. Do they also have like performance and fight of the night awards?
I don't know shit about boxing.
Okay.
I just know two things: Floyd Mayweather, Manny Pacquiao, and that's about it. And I never watch a fight live of boxing.
I've only had one boxer on the show. These are his gloves, Gabriel Rosado, but I knew him before I started the show. So, that was when I started early on. Okay. Now what's up with you and Jimmy Rivera? You two were supposed to fight twice and then did he get injured both times or the fight just never happened?
That's what he says. He always find a way out.
Okay.
Like for real. Like he always find a way out, and then he's the type of guy that he will put a million excuses and don't fight you. Like if I don't like somebody, it's even better to fight him. But somehow he just do not want to fight me, and I am chasing nobody.
Mm-hmm.
So I just don't care. If you offer me, I take it. But
Yeah.
he's find a way out, and the same way you find a way out before the fight, you will find it in the fight.
Interesting. So when I had Al Iaquinta on, he was telling me that Ray Longo's famous words, which I thought was really interesting, and I'm curious to see if you agree. He said, the way that a fighter is in the cage reflects his character in real life. So if you see him trying to take cheap shots, he's going to be that person in real life. If you see him, tapping early, or on the opposite side, you see him take a beating, but he waits it out, then, he's the same way in life. Do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree. Makes sense.
Yeah, I never thought of it before, but it's kind of an interesting. I'm like from now on, and when I watch the fights, I'm going to kind of compare, how the guys I've gotten to know are in the cage in real life and see if it's consistent.
Yeah, well, it's actually a good point. Like it actually makes sense to me. Like you are who you are, and it shows when when the fight hits a hard moment or gets deeper. You see those things.
Now, you knocked out Sean O'Malley in the first round of your fight last year. It got a lot of attention because Sean O'Malley had like a hype going on about him, but then I don't know how to say it. Like, it's like 1 second there was like a real big hype, and then the next, it seemed like the energy kind of deflated. Would you agree with that?
That's how this thing works. You win fights. They talk to you about the next Muhammad Ali. You lose a fight, and they share on you. So it's all about how you handle. How you handle the victories, how you handle the losses, how much you pay attention to the outsiders, and I'm really good at that. I pay
Yeah.
serious about what the outside thinks or believe, or when I say like I have zero energy on that. So I'm not a hype man. I only care about winning the fight.
Mm-hmm. You care about your home life. I was going through your Instagram, and I always do my research to kind of see if I can get to know the fighter before I interview you guys, and then kind of understand what questions to ask. And I
Right.
see photos of you and your family and your wife in particular. And there was one photo that caught my eye where it's like you guys have been married for 9 years, right?
Yes.
And it seems to me like your friends and there's still love there. And of course it's social media and you can't really always tell, but this is what I admire so much about the Latin community. And, my best friend, God rest her soul, she passed away, but she was Peruvian, and like, it was always very warm. And I got to see how her parents were. And sometimes we'd walk in and they were just dancing in the living room, just the two of them, and I feel like there's something about the traditions of the Latin community that keep you guys close and in love and friends over the years. What do you think that is?
Is it's just very family friendly. Like any memories I have, it was never just my house. It was my uncle, my aunts, my cousins, everybody in one house. So we're very tight, and I've been traveling around the world, and I only see that in South America. I don't see this. I don't see much of that in the U.S. I don't see much of that when I went to other places. But when I went to South America, and when I fought in Peru, I will go eat to one of my friend's house, and I would say the grandma was there. Every fucking body was there. So they just keep it like that, and I'm guessing that's the way. That's how we know how to do it. Now we live here alone. It's only the five of us, but our, I guess, just don't forgetting how things should be done is what make you better. But that's what we're in Ecuador. It's weekly family gatherings and stuff. I'm guessing now you can because COVID, but
Yeah,
that's how we do it.
that's how you do it. I admire that so much. And you guys seem to really have your eye on the prize. You're out there providing for your family, but then when you come home, like you said, you leave it at the door and you're the family man, and your daughters and your son are going to have a present father, and then they're going to grow up and having that strong foundation.
That's the most important part. Like, and in that part, I'm always trying to check myself, like on the being present thing, because that's one of the things that sometimes you don't realize. You can be home the whole day and you don't pay zero attention to who's next to you. So the couple hours that I have in between practices at night, I try. I try hard to make it happen, because sometimes you're just too tired. You just want to get inside of your own mind and just you know just get away from everybody. But you definitely cannot do that once you have a family. If you live by yourself, you're lonely. That's fine. That's cool. You can handle that. But once you have a family, you gotta find that time for each individual in that house, because they they need it. They need it.
You need it. You fought Jose Aldo last month, lost via unanimous decision. Did you feel like you won that one, or are you taking the L?
I couldn't say I won that one. The way the fight ends, he took my back, and I can make a lot of bitch excuses. He don't really try anything. He don't really try to choke me out. He don't really try to punch me at least from behind. So it's like I can make it up. I can say the word arguably. You could give me the first round, because the second one I won it for sure. The first one was a little bit slower for both parts. We would throw it hard, but you don't see who really won the fight. And then the third round, he was that's why I fucked up, because I saw him so tired that I came too quick at him, trying to hurt him instead of just take my time. But yeah, like as a man, yes, I give it to him. He won. He won the match. He won. He scored a couple extra points by taking my back. But it's not like he fought his way to get there. He's not like he. And when he took my back, he didn't try to choke me. He was just holding me. And most of the jiu-jitsu practitioners that I'm around, they told me it's hard to escape when they don't try to choke you, because I did everything. I was trying to get his head cut up in the fence. I slammed him twice. I was punching backwards. So who's actually working in there? He's holding. I'm landing punches, and then when the fight was over, I throw more. I land more. Yes, he was a smart. He's experienced guy. He was like, "Oh fuck, it's coming too crazy." Okay, just just dog my first punch and take my back. That's fine. Okay, I learned a lot from the fight. So I'm actually kind of grateful in one side, because give me so much experience and just tell me little things that in the future are gonna make me want a belt. Just like don't fuck up here, do this, don't overdo this. Fighting is very mental, and I get a lot from that fight. But I can be very bitchy like many of these fighters and just put all the excuses in the world and say why this and that. But I lost it. A lot of people told me this, like, you lost the match, you didn't lose the fight.
Okay.
Whatever. Fucking make half of my money. I'm still losing. So it's a it's a
Right.
it's a chip on my shoulder that I carry to, and I bring every day to practice to get better, to improve, and be just a better fighter. And next fight, just drill a hole to somebody's face.
I am close with Andy Foster, who's the executive officer of the California State Athletic Commission. They regulate all the fights in California.
Yeah.
And he's invited me to sit in on these trainings that they have with the officials. So, like, all the judges and the refs, they meet like once a month and go over the fights that are more controversial. And when I first started, I haven't been covering MMA for the longest time. And when I first started, it was interesting for me to understand that you only get points if you are on the offense. There's no points for defense. And so when you see a fight like yours where you're performing more, it can be confusing, but it's a
It is.
tough score, fight to sport to
Well,
score.
in my experience, in the experience I have watching fights and fighting, I'm like, okay, I get it. You take my back, you're in my back. In jiu-jitsu, you get 4 points if you put the hooks, okay. But then in a fight, we don't need just the point. We need after you get the points, action. Like if I'm punching you like 100 times here, and I'm standing up, I'm slamming you. Like it's not like he flat me out, or like like even when he tried to flat me out, I don't even let him flat me out. So I in in the commission's point of view, I'm like, who's actually working? Yes, he took my back, but what he did with the position. So those are the things like sometimes I think about it for the future. Of course, don't get caught there because, and then I also think they score more punches than kicks because I throw more kicks than him also. So it's just like little things that give you experience. Okay, maybe next time you gotta mix up more punches or do takedowns and don't do damage. Just hold your opponent down without really fighting. Just just like a hard contest. And those things are also good to know because losing like that give you the experience to see. Oh look, even if you think you're doing more, you're actually not doing more. So and
Right.
on this doesn't matter if they're doing once a month or once a week. The judges sucks in MMA. There are people that came from boxing and they don't really understand fighting. Like Joe Rogan talked it before. Like if if you take me down and you just on top of me, just put your weight on top, and I'm like throwing elbows like a maniac. Who wins? We don't know who wins there. Like if you ask me, I would say, okay, you get your 2 points for a cute takedown, but you're not punching me, and I'm throwing 100 elbows to your forehead. I'm guessing the elbow guy's winning, but these judges are not gonna see it like that. It's just it's just weird, and sometimes they score right, sometimes they don't, sometimes they do something awful. So it when you go in there, sometimes I'm not even worried about the show money and the win money. Sometimes you're thinking like, what if there's one of these assholes just guess who's winning and you go from there because it's hard to finish every fight. I'm trying to kill my opponent, but sometimes it's hard.
Right. That's so interesting. I'm actually going to ask Andy his opinion on, or I guess what the expectation is, whether, strikes are worth more than kicks. Because, I know we've talked about kicks during the scoring. And I think the goal of these meetings is to get everyone on the same page so that there can be some sort of uniformity. But when you have a sport that's scored subjectively, based on opinion, it's hard to get everyone to understand and see the same thing. But that must be really frustrating for you, knowing that you can go in the cage and do your thing and kick butt and still maybe not win at the end of the day.
Yeah, you really never know with these judges. It happened
Yeah.
to me at the beginning of last year. Like there's no way on earth uh Sonja Don beat me. It's impossible. And he won unanimous decisions. So I'm like, oh fuck. So they all three think he won. So I'm guessing all three of them are fucking idiots. I don't know, but and there's nothing you can do about it. You can
Right.
complain, you can insult them. I tell them everything I could say, but that didn't help.
Right. Right. That must be really frustrating. When you go through a loss, how do you process the loss? Is it hard on you internally? I mean, do you have like some sort of ritual? Because I know obviously I've never fought before, but when I go through something that I really care about and I don't perform the way I wanted to, it weighs heavily on me and I kind of just shut down.
Well, it sucks. I hate fucking losing. I wanna like, I just wanna like send everything to fuck off. But you have to, you have to also see what you learn from there. If you learn something from there, and you gotta go back to work. You gotta keep going forward. Like if one loss set you down and you complain the rest of your life, you're a legitimate loser. So you gotta just suck it out and keep working forward.
Is there someone in your home, Anthony Smith, when I asked him, like, who do you go to when you lose to make you feel better? And he's like, oh, my little girl, my youngest, she'll come and like hold my face. And I just, in that moment, he's like, I don't want to let my kids down. So in that moment, it makes me feel better. I feel comforted when I'm with my kids after a loss. So do you like, who's your person?
I'm gonna be honest with you. I get the love from my kids, from my family. It's awesome, but you're gonna remember you fucking lost and you feel like a loser and you hate it for what happened, and that just make me wanna work harder, learn more, and fuck somebody. And you can have the hugs from the whole family. 2 seconds later, you remember you're a fucking loser and you don't like that. So
No.
it's good for him. A hug helped him. My kids hug
No, I
me
don't think that. I
hard.
don't think it takes it away, but
Yeah,
you know,
nothing take it away. Nothing take it
yeah.
away. Nothing take it away.
Yeah. Only time, right? And then you get to get back in the cage for your next one. And the
Yes,
second you get back in the cage, that's what takes it away, right? Because that's when
that's
everyone leaves that in the
that.
past.
That's exactly how it goes. One nail takes the other one.
Hmm. I get that. So I reached out to your good friend, Alex Perez, and I'm like, hey, because I talked to him after I interviewed him like months ago. I'm like, hey, should I get your buddy Chito on? And he's like, yeah, for sure. He'd be great. So then I told him, I'm like, I finally scheduled your boy. He's coming on the show. It would be cool if you had a shout out for him. And he goes, Chito is one of my best friends and training partner. He pushes me to be better and also helps me stay motivated and disciplined. I love that guy.
I will say, if you ask me right now, if you would be something cool, if you wouldn't tell me what he say, I would probably say the same words. By far, I would
Like,
probably same exact words that he say about me, about him.
oh,
We're
wait, so
pretty.
you would say the same message about him?
I would say this almost the same one. I would probably, yeah, I would say that is exactly how we keep each other honest. I talk
So cute.
more than him than anybody.
That's so cute. He's a really nice guy.
He's a fucking prick actually. But I
I
never.
don't know that side of him, but
Oh yeah, he's a dick. Yeah, but in a good way.
in a good way. Well, I'm glad that
Yeah,
you guys have each other. That's really nice. I wanted to ask you, how did you get your nickname Cheeto?
since I'm a kid, they call me like that. I, it's like my name basically.
Mhm.
The
Does
my
it mean
middle,
anything?
it doesn't mean absolutely nothing. My middle name is Andres. Like when I was a little kid, they asked me what's your name, and I would say Andre Chito. So
Oh, okay.
it's just it's just like that. Came from that. Like came from my middle name. Like I was trying to say like they're like that, and they call me Chito since
That's so cute.
yeah.
Okay. All right. I know you have to go and I'm bummed. I have so many more questions for you, but hey, we will hopefully do this another time and maybe we can
I
get you
would
and Alex on.
yes, we can do that when he come back from Abu Dhabi. I can 100% do it next time. I the only reason I said this in between trainings because I didn't knew it was like a real actually show podcast whatever.
Yeah.
I thought it was just an interview like 20 maybe 30 minutes, but then we just had hours. Oh shit, I got training.
No problem. It was totally my bad, but you're awesome. I love getting to know you. And I'll be in touch with you when Alex is back. And I think that'd be a great show.
Yeah, we can for sure
Before
do
I
it.
let you go, can I just get some words of inspiration from you? You have really good work ethic. And I know that there are so many people around the world, in Ecuador especially, that look up to you as a role model. What advice, what words of wisdom do you have for them?
I think I say they're a really similar thing all the time because you have to get through many things in life. You gotta like just get through. You gotta suck it up and keep going. And the only thing from bad moments or for hard times you find about yourself is if you are the real deal or not. Because it's so easy to break. It's so easy to stop going. It's so easy to stop pushing. It's so easy to don't get out of bed, to eat like shit, don't do good for you. But the hard part, eat clean, go to bed on time, don't have bad habits. That's the hard part. But I feel once you figure that out, once you mentally decide to do it, anything you work for will come to you. Absolutely everything. You just gotta put the work the other guys didn't put, and you get it.
Okay, I like that. And the only other person that has said that to me in a similar way, not in the fight game, is actually crushing it right now in what he does. And he's like, Jenna, the trick is you just got to do what the other people aren't willing to do.
There's no tricks unless you're using the steroids and you win fights because you got a good doctor. But there's no shortcuts. There doesn't exist. You gotta fucking grind and go through.
Well said.